Welcome to this explainer on the rarest human possible. Right off the bat, I want you to just close your eyes for a second. Imagine you're sitting in a park on a sunny afternoon, right? A woman walks by and sits down on the bench right beside you. And she's striking. I mean, her skin is as white as snow, her hair is this incredible curly silver, and her eyes are just piercing blue. You're completely captivated. So you strike up a conversation, ask her name, and she tells you it's Abarash.
She casually mentioned she's actually from a remote tribe in sub-Saharan Africa. And then it clicks for you. She's a black woman with albinism. You end up asking for her number, and as she grabs your phone, you notice she's typing away with her left hand. Long story short, you go on dates. Turns out she's absolutely brilliant. You fall head over heels, and amazingly, she becomes your girlfriend. And then, beep, 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 your alarm goes off. It was literally just a vivid dream. You're lying there in bed, heart racing, kind of dumbfounded, and you can't help but wonder, could a person like that actually exist out there in the real world? Well, statistically speaking, yes.
Okay, let's dive into this, because that dream sets up a seriously fascinating mathematical thought experiment. Out of the 8 billion people walking the Earth right now, what would the absolute, mathematically rarest possible person actually look like? To figure that out, we've got to break humanity down, literally trait by trait, to see how these insane probabilities stack up against each other.
So, first things first, we have to start with where our person comes from. Right now, there are roughly 7,000 distinct ethnic groups on the planet. But, most of humanity is bundled up in a pretty small number of massive populations. Take the Han Chinese, for example. They make up about 18% of the global population. That is over 1.4 billion people from just one single group. But for our rarest human, we need to look at the exact opposite end of the spectrum. We're talking about incredibly small, isolated groups. Think of the Sentinelese of the Andaman Islands, whose population is estimated to be somewhere between 50 and 400 people. Or the Kawahiva down in the Brazilian Amazon, who might literally have fewer than 30 individuals left. Even the Spinifex people in Australia only numbered around 200 at their last count.
So for the foundational building block of our incredibly rare person, we're going to place their ethnic origin in one of these tiny groups. We'll use a super conservative baseline population of exactly 500 people. Now, if we take that 500 and divide it by our global population of 8 billion, that gives us our starting odds. 1 in 16 million. Right out of the gate, our hypothetical person has a 0.0000625% chance of existing.
All right, for our first physical trait, we're giving this person albinism, just like in the dream. Albinism is this fascinating genetic condition caused by mutations in the genes that handle melanin production. And melanin, of course, is the pigment that gives color to your skin, your hair, and your eyes. But in a person with complete albinism, that melanin production is either severely dialed back or just completely missing. The result? White or near-white skin, striking silver or super light hair, and unpigmented irises. Because of the way light hits those unpigmented eyes, they can look light blue, gray, or sometimes even pink.
Now, when you look at this trait globally, complete albinism pops up in approximately 1 out of every 20,000 people.
Watch what happens when we start combining these probabilities, though. If we take our 1 in 16 million rare ethnicity and multiply it by that 1 in 20,000 chance for albinism, our person suddenly has a staggering 1 in 320 billion chance of existing. Guys, we have already blown completely past the total population of the Earth by a massive margin, and we're literally just getting started.
And this brilliantly illustrates how incredibly fast this funnel of improbability narrows down. Let's move on to the eyes. Now, you might be thinking green eyes are rare, and they are, affecting about 1 in 50 people. But that is definitely not the rarest eye mutation out there. Enter complete heterochromia. This is a rare but completely harmless condition present right from birth, where a person ends up with 2 totally different eye colors. We're talking 1 piercing blue eye and 1 deep brown eye on the same person. It's basically caused by an uneven distribution of melanin in the irises. The actual chance of being born with these perfectly mismatched eyes is about 0.06%. Mathematically, that breaks down to just 1 in 1,667 people. Okay, now let's add handedness to the mix because this gets super fascinating. It's partly heritable, sure, but there's no single lefty gene. In fact, even identical twins who basically share the exact same DNA will actually differ in their handedness about 20% of the time. It's heavily tied to brain lateralization.
See, most right-handed people process language mainly over in the left hemisphere of their brain. But left-handed folks, they often show way more bilateral organization, meaning both sides of the brain are kind of sharing the load. Plus, we've got to remember that in a lot of traditional communities, there's immense social pressure to just use your right hand. So natural left-handedness is actually severely underreported globally. So while the true hidden rate of lefties might be slightly higher because of those social pressures, the generally accepted conservative scientific estimate is still hovering right around 10%. That's exactly 1 in 10 people.
Let's move to the math and see how this builds, because these numbers compound incredibly fast. When we lock in that specific tiny ethnicity, add the albinism, throw in the complete heterochromia, and now make them left-handed, the odds of this person existing absolutely explode to a 1 in 5.33 quadrillion chance.
Let's up the ante, shall we? How about we add a literal biological superpower to the recipe? Look, most humans see the world using 3 types of cone cells in our retinas, which are tuned to blue, green, and red light. Your brain mixes those signals to let you see around 1 million different colors. Pretty cool, right? But tetrachromates possess a genetic mutation that gives them a 4th cone type. This lets them distinguish up to 100 million different colors. It's like seeing the world in an impossibly high resolution. And here's the real kicker. This mutation is tied directly to the X chromosome. That means tetrachromacy is found almost entirely in women, since they can inherit both a standard and a mutated version of the gene. Men, unfortunately, generally cannot.
Now, while maybe 12% of women carry this mutation, only a super tiny fraction of them ever actually develop functional tetrachromacy. Researchers estimate this incredible supervision only pops up in roughly 1 in 40,000 women. When you apply that to the overall population, that translates to a probability of 1 in 80,000 people.
Now, what's really interesting about this next slide is the memory aspect. For the final trait in our mix, we want our rarest human to remember absolutely everything. This condition is called hyperthymesia, or highly superior autobiographical memory. It's the involuntary ability to recall almost every single day of your life in vivid, extraordinary detail. And I'm not just talking about big stuff like a wedding or a graduation. I mean completely ordinary days, random passing conversations, exactly what you ate on a random Tuesday 10 years ago. It's wild. This was actually only formally identified pretty recently, back in 2006, by neuroscientist James McGall, after a woman named Jill Price described how she just couldn't stop remembering her past. She called it a continuous, involuntary replay of her entire life.
And it is exceptionally rare. Globally, there have been fewer than 100 confirmed cases ever identified. Even if we're super generous and account for people out there who just haven't been diagnosed yet, we're looking at maybe a few hundred people in the whole world. That makes hyperthymesia one of the absolute rarest memory traits known to science, giving us a highly conservative probability of 500 out of 8 billion, which is another 1 in 16 million shot.
All right, let's take a deep breath here and recap this incredible recipe we've just cooked up. As we go down this funnel of improbability, our hypothetical human comes from an isolated ethnic group of just 500 people. She has albinism. She has complete heterochromia, rocking 2 totally different eye colors. She's a lefty. She has the tetrachromatic ability to see 100 million colors. And to top it all off, she has hyperthymesia, meaning she perfectly remembers almost every single day of this incredibly unique life.
So, the crucial point is the math. When we multiply every single one of these incredibly rare traits together, the final probability of this exact person existing drops to an absurdly massive, mind-melting 1 in 6.83 septillion. To really wrap our heads around how astronomical a septillion is, we actually have to look out into the cosmos. The estimated maximum number of stars in the entire observable universe is roughly 1 septillion. So our created person is nearly 7 times rarer than pulling one specific, pre-chosen star out of the entire universe. No way, right? Or let's think about grains of sand. If you counted every single grain of sand on our entire planet, you would need 910,000 exact copies of Earth just to reach 6.83 septillion grains of sand. The mathematical odds here are literally staggering. And the craziest part? We didn't even add things like rare blood types, unique body mutations, or varying intelligence levels to the mix. The possibilities are truly endless.
Which brings us to our final thought. The big takeaway of this explainer isn't really about tracking down some impossible mathematical ghost. No, it's that the sheer volume of traits and mutations out there means every single one of us is a completely unique combination of variables.
You have beaten absolutely unbelievable microscopic odds simply to exist exactly as you are today. Yep, it's completely true that there are plenty of fish in the sea, but as this whole thought experiment proves, mathematically speaking, there is literally no one as cool as you. So, keep on swimming and ask yourself, what makes your mathematical equation completely unique?